What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you today Security Force. Now this is the brand new art type that came out in Blazing Vortex, and again, going back to old school like Lynx, is all about column control. I do have two really cool and exciting combos to show you at the end of the video as well, and there is a spicy engine in here, courtesy of Joe, that really changed the dynamic, not massively, but I was kind of looking at it and it's like, I don't want to go this route and I don't want to go that route because, you know, it doesn't really work, and Joe came up with this idea and went, this is what you want to put in, and I was like, yes, that's it. So, with that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe. If you get it up to at least 50 likes, I will try and do a test stand video to show you the consistency of the deck. But as I go through this profile, I will explain the core cards, what you want to try to aim for, and what the kind of play style of this deck is. In my opinion, right now, there are two secrets in the set, S-Force Wrapper and then the Field Spell, and they are sitting at around £7 on the Wrapper and about £10 maximum on the Field Spells each. Definitely worth picking up because they get a card in Lightning Overdrive. Well, they get 3 new cards in Lightning Overdrive, and the trap card is pretty much a multiple compulse. And then this guy is actually insanely important in this deck as well. With all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into today's profile and combo for S-Force, previously known as Security Force. So, we start off with triple S-Force Wrapper. Now, this is the main go-to card. This is the card that you kind of want to be getting to. It is the card you need to get to. It is your warrior monster. And basically, the way this works is each of your opponent's monsters in the same column as one of your S-Force monsters can only target that monster specifically for attacks. Quick effect, you banish one S-Force card from your hand, return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one S-Force monster from your deck in defense position except itself. Now, the other cards that combo with this, and then I'll explain how it works, is triple Gravito. I only have 2 at the moment, sad days, and double Platina. Now, the reason this is all important is the idea is that Wrapper banishes Gravito, you then summon Platina from the deck. Platina allows you to special summon one of your banished S-Force monsters, which will be Gravito. Gravito, when it is normal or special, allows you to add a S-Force card, which is why it's beautiful, because the S-Force cards can now be the brand new trap in Lightning Overdrive. But at current can be a Call of the Haunted, and it can also be a quick effect which allows you to pretty much quick effect bring the Wrapper back down during either the same turn or during your opponent's turn, and as long as you've got another S-Force card, you can pretty much repeat this combo of going, okay, Wrapper, banish a Gravito, bring out Platina, Platina, bring out Gravito, and then your board will technically be 2 Gravitos and 2 Platinas. Now the Gravito, apart from obviously getting the effect to add a S-Force card when it's summoned, each of your opponent's monsters in the same column as one of your S-Force monsters is banished when it leaves the field. When it leaves the field, that is why the compulse is so important, because if you have this card on the board and you compulse, technically it's leaving the field, so they are all going to get banished. Which is why if you wanted to put in a very powerful control version of the deck, not only could you be playing D-Shifters, but you can also play Compulse or a little spicy tech of Get Out, because then Get Out no longer becomes a double Compulse, it becomes a double banish. Like, it's absolutely nuts and beautiful. Platina's effect is each of your opponent's monsters in the same column as one of your S-Force monsters loses 600 attack. It does stack. So, if you had 2 Platinas on the board, each monster in a column of an S-Force monster is going to be losing 1200 attack, which is why it is beautiful. Now, this is a level 6 spellcaster. It is a dark. You can send it with souls if you want. I've gone with a soulless build purely because it wasn't really adding a huge amount. Yes, it gave you the extender. Now, the idea behind this is, of course, your best combo is opening up Wrapper and Gravito. If you get those, you get this full combo just from your normal summon, or special summon if you've been able to special summon Wrapper out in another way. The secondary combo, or the way this then kind of goes from here, if you have an extender, is you're going to go with Platina, Gravito, you're going to search out the card you need, and then you're going to get the extender, and you're going to link all into Justify, and we'll get to Justify when we get to that point of the profile as well. So that's pretty much the main cards of the S-Forces. I'm now going to go over the cards that aren't not S-Forces, but the S-Forces you play less of. And we only play the one Orpheus and the one Professor Digamma. Now, Digamma is when it is normal, or each time your opponent's monster in the same column as one of your S-Force monsters cannot change its battle position. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and change its battle position. So it's a bit meh. You're probably not going to be playing this once we get the new support in Lightning Overdrive, but for now, one is more than enough. Then you've got Orpheus. So your opponent cannot target any of your monsters in the same column as your S-Force monster. Any of their monsters in the same column as any of your S-Force monsters with card effects. So when a monster your opponent controls activates this effect, quick effect, you can banish one S-Force card from your hand and destroy that monster. So this is the most aggressively interacting card, but the idea is you have to be able to banish from your an S-Force from your hand, which isn't always successful, and you kind of, like I said, your first point of call is going Platina, Gravito, or Rapper, Platina, Gravito. So this is why these are just playing second fiddle, and it is light and dark, so if you wanted to, you could try and build a Chaos version. I did try it, but it really didn't have the consistency to get it going. Then we get into the Warrior deck engine. Now, what I mean by Warrior deck engine is your idea is because Rapper is a Warrior, you want to be tuning out, you want to be pumping out, you want to be getting to Isolde. Now, I tried it without Isolde because I was really trying to go against it, and the only way you can do that is if you wanted to play like a little Monarch engine in the form of the Heavenly Squire, because, believe it or not, Rapper's attack is 800 and its defense is 1000. So your Heavenly Squire, whether it comes off of 1-for-1 or comes off of the normal summon itself, can special summon out Rapper. The only issue is you can't go into the extra deck, so the idea behind that is your board would then be a Heavenly Squire in attack or defense, plus a Platina and a Rapper. So you can't really use it to go into Justify, which kind of contradicted what you wanted it to do. The next best option that people were looking at were the Phantom Knight engine. And the issue I had with the Phantom Knight engine is, yes, it is very, very good and consistent. I want it to be something different. But the idea behind the Phantom Knight engine is you normal summon Scales, you send Cloak, you can banish Cloak, get you boots, special boots. Then all you need to do is normal summon a Rapper, and then you've got full combo from that point on. And then you can make your link free of Justify, because Justify requires specifically free effect monsters, including an S-Force monster. So that is the more consistent version, but I wanted to try something a little bit spicy, and thanks to Joe, I actually found something very, very spicy. The other engine that people played, which I can't argue with, is the Neospatian Connector. Now, the reason I like the Neospatian Connector over the Phantom Knights is it is literally one card. Because the idea behind that is even if you don't discard to use Dolphin's Effect, which if you want to, you can get Hand Knowledge, which is absolutely fine. But the idea is you just normal summon Neospace. That's it. Whereas if you normal summon Scales, you then need to be able to get a discard. Whereas if you wanted to play something like Tour Guide will do the effect just as well for you. So it really depends on how you want to control your hand advantage and use it that way. But you also want to make sure that the other engines in this deck are minimal, so you have enough Security Force cards in your hand to consistently discard them for Rapper and play from there. Now, the very spicy engine that Joe noted me of is, of course, the Righty Driver and Lefty Driver. Now, we play 3-in-1. I've always loved this engine. I've just not found a way of utilising it to its max potential. But in this deck, you certainly do. Now, the reason this is so important, ladies and gentlemen, is because just from one Righty Driver, unlike with the Neospace, from just one Righty Driver, it actually gives you all your materials, it gives you Isolde, and it gives you an additional material to go into Justify, meaning you can make Justify and leave either Platina or Gravito on the board to be able to banish all of your opponent's cards, all of your opponent's monsters, or reduce all of your opponent's monsters by 600. Also, the best thing with Lefty Driver and Righty Driver is you only need to play the one Lefty Driver, because Righty will summon Lefty from hand, grave, or deck. So once you've used the effect once, if you open up another Righty Driver, if you wanted to play something like Pot of Avarice, you could spin back all three of your Go-Yo Defenders back into your extra deck. You play 2 Isoldes anyway, so you'd spin an Isolde back as well, and then you can spin back another monster, draw 2 cards, play this engine all again, and that will then unlock the potential for you to play rank 3s, or you can do the whole entire combo again and get you a second Justify. Now, obviously, you only really want one Justify, but it's more so if they get rid of Justify, you can do it again. And there is a reason Justify is so important in this profile, and when we get to his effect, you'll all be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense why he's so broken and why you need to get to him ideally. Then finish off the monsters, we've got triple DD Crow and double Ash Blossom. Probably should be the other way around. It doesn't really matter. This is just hand trap space. Now I do play triple infinite impermanence as well, which I'll show you at the end. And it's literally just whatever hand trap is in favour of the month. The other cards you could put in here if you wanted to will of course be Forbidden Droplet. Because most of your deck is single card combos to get going, or 2-card combos, it does leave you with 3/4 cards that you can drop on your opponent to halve your opponent's attack. And the best thing about this deck is it actually, I would say, it's a little bit better at current going second, but it does have the ability to go first as well. So what I'm saying is when you lose a dice roll, or sorry, when you win the dice roll, don't go second, go first, because you can still produce very, very powerful boards. But if you are made to go second, it's not the end of the world. The deck can still perform. So that's it for the monster lineup. I kind of went in a lot of depth for those, but I kind of wanted to introduce the S-Forces to you guys so you can kind of understand where they're going and why they're so cheap right now. It's worth picking them up. Moving on to the spells, we've got triple S-Force Bridgehead, and of course the one Terraforming, which basically counts as your 4th copy of Bridgehead. Now usually with Bridgehead, what you're going to be doing is, when this card is activated, you can add one S-Force monster from your deck to your hand. So as long as you've got the way to get into Wrapper, this then searches you out your Gravito, which is why you could arguably play Gravito at 2 if you wanted to, but having multiple Gravitos in the hand is not the end of the world as long as you can banish them consistently. Then, when an opponent's monster declares an attack on your S-Force monster in the same column, you can activate this effect. That monster you control cannot be destroyed by that battle. You can only use that effect once per turn. It's a little bit silly, but it is what it is. Like, it's not the best field spell. It is literally just a searching field spell. We've then got triple Pot of Prosperity because I've got it. I'm going to play it. I did kind of want to play Extravagance to try and make it cheaper for everyone, but with this particular build, you actually want to control your extra deck a lot more, which is why, because with Extravagance, if you lose one of your Go-Yo Guardians, that engine falls apart. Which is why Prosperity is better, because when we get to the extra deck, you'll see there's actually a lot of different avenues and a lot of different win cons, so you actually have the space to choose what you want to banish. Now, if you don't want to play this, you can play Desires. Desires does the job just as well, because you're not really playing a lot of one-offs that you want to lose. So the idea is, the worst case scenario is you lose your Platinas. But the idea behind Desires would only be that you make your board consistently, or make your Wrapper into a Gravito Platina play, make your Justify, and then activate Desires to try and get your trap cards. Now, other like interruption cards you can play, of course, will be there, can only be one, and you can, like I said, go with the Get Out and Compulses. But this is just a spot for some form of draw engine. It is currently a 41 card deck, so if you did cut 2 down, that can then go, cut 1 out to make it a 40 card deck, then you'd play 2 Desires. Absolutely fine. We've then got 2 S-Force Showdown. So basically you get to activate one of the following effects: special summon an S-Force monster from your hand in defense position, or target one S-Force monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can only activate one S-Force once per turn. So there's a reason you only play 2. It is specifically special from the hand. The only time you want a special from your hand is if you've got a Gravito or a Platina in your hand. Other than that, you don't really want to special the Wrapper unless you're going to special summon it during your opponent's turn. So 2 is more than enough, very, very specific. I love the artwork. So for those of you that haven't seen this artwork, it is basically, once the camera focuses, if it wants to focus, you've got Time Thief Redoer in the background there, and then you've got the S-Force like cowboy guy here. So it's just nice to kind of see the influence for Time Thieves as well. For the one-offs, we've then got the 1 Reasoning, the 1 Reinforcement of the Army. Obviously, Wrapper is a warrior, so is, of course, your Neo Space. That's the only difference between playing something like the Fire Knight. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, that equips Squeak Knight to itself, that can then make his ult. That's the only difference, is you consistently drops 1 by there, but I think what the lefty right driver is so much better. With Reasoning, if you include your DD Crows, your lefties and righty drivers, yes, your righty has to be normal summoned, but you technically play 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s in the entire main deck, so Reasoning is pretty much a no-brainer in a deck like this. Then you've got your 3 equipped spells. So you've got Living Fossil, Divine Phoenix Sword, and DDR. Now, actually, these 2 are both live in this deck because you do banish consistently quite a lot. You could also play Allure of Darkness to make this a little bit more consistent, but because I took out a heavy dark engine and something like D-Shifters, that's where Allure wasn't as consistent as I wanted it to be. Now, ideally, off of Isolde, you are always going to be sending 2 equips. You're probably going to send these 2. You add the Divine Sword back to your hand, and then you're pretty much good to go. Another little tech that Joe did mention that I haven't put into the deck as yet is off of Isolde. technically you don't want to search anything. The only thing you would probably search is your Neospatium for the next turn. But if you wanted to, you could actually search out the new Gearfried. Because you're going to have a equipped in the graveyard, you'll have an equipped in hand. You can search out the Gearfried so that next turn, once you've defended your board with Justify, you can then banish the Living Fossil or DDR if it's in the graveyard, special summon down your Gearfried, equip it with a Phoenix Sword, and then off of that ability from there, you have the ability to negate something, and you also have the ability to attack and steal something. So it gives you a very, very powerful, aggressive push. Then, of course, for the traps, we've got triple infinite impermanence. Again, just hand trap space. If you don't have imperms, crows, bells, skullmeisters, ogres, anything like that. And then finally, we've got the one S4 specimen. So if you control a monster, if your opponent controls a monster, target one of your S-Force monsters that is banished or in your graveyard, special summon it to the field in the same column as that opponent's monster. You can banish this card from the graveyard, then target one S-Force monster you control, move that target to another of your main monster zones. Only use the effect once per turn. Now, the one thing that technically the S-Force are missing is they need a card that literally, and I'm not sure if they get it into the Lightning Overdrive yet, I haven't looked completely, but they need a card that literally says, like how you know Mech Knights have got the trap card and it's like any monster in the zone of a Mech Knight can't activate its effects. They kind of need an S-Force monster like that basically says monsters in this column cannot activate their effects. Like, just to give it that little bit more. Now, obviously Justify can negate the effects, but just having something that's like, yeah, if you put it in my zone here, I'm going to negate you. That then gives you the ability of abusing Specimen more, and it will also give you the ability to abuse S4 Showdown, because then it's more control on the columns as well. Now onto the extra deck, of course, we're going with double S-Force Justify. I only have two. I think two is enough. You could put it at three if you want to, but two is more than enough. Now this card is nuts. Absolutely love it. So it specifically requires 3 effect monsters, including S-Force monster. That's one downside of it. But then all of its pluses is you cannot summon or set monsters to zones this card points to. Nice. Quick effect. You can target one face-up effect monster your opponent controls, negates effects until the end of this turn. Then you can move that opponent's monster to their monster zone this card points to. You can only use this effect of S-Force Justify once per turn. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks, you can banish all monsters this card points to. So the idea is you're literally just going to go and negate, move, negate, move, negate, move. And this is where this is better going second, because if your opponent puts 3 monsters, like 1, 2, and 3, you just go, you make Justify down here, attack, and then they go, pew, pew, pew. You just banish all 3. Like, it's absolutely nuts. It's a very kind of cool card. I really, really like it. I think it's so funny because it locks out 3 zones. Like, there's nowhere, like, the only way your opponent plays around this is their opponent goes, okay, we're going to put, there's no zone that you can put it into. Like, you'd have to split your monster and go 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. But even then, the second you put Justify down, you're still hitting 2 monsters. If they put it there, then again, you just put Justify. Like, where are they going to put their second monster that you're not going to be able to? They would have to put a link monster here on a zone here to then block this out, so then you have to go here specifically, and then that means they have to put their monsters over there. It's just crazy. But yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a very, very nice kind of ability, and the fact is that it's quick effect. You can target one face-up effect monster. So it doesn't need to be on a trigger. So even if you're going second and they do have a monster, you make your Justify over here, and they've got a monster here and here. You just go, all right, Justify, move that here. Guaranteed to banish it. Like, it's crazy. So, so good. I love this card. Then, of course, we've got the triple Yugioh Defender. Now, obviously, the idea is, I'll show this in a combo, but you do lefty, righty drive. You make the first one. The first one summons out the second one. The second one summons out the third one. You then put 2 of these together, go into a Zold, and then do full combo from there. And that's what's really, really cool about it. Now, Gravito is a level 5 light, so you do have the ability to make Pallades. It's not as quickly consistent, but you can kind of see how easy it is to get Gravito to the board. So the idea is you can make Pallades. Pallades can bounce a card if you want it to, but then you can also rank on top into M7. And then I believe, let me just double check, there's a material other than to this card. If you cannot activate it fair once per turn, do touch one. Yeah, so I just need to check. But then the idea behind this is you can then go into M7, and then even after you've made M7, you can go straight into Zeus. And then the whole idea behind this is technically if you've just ranked up, then Zeus is going to be able to do his effect twice. It's not ideal Zeus because you want to kind of control the columns, but it's one of them times where it's like if you can't control the columns, or if you use all of your S-Force effects, you've got Zeus to fall back on. Then for the link monsters, of course, we've got double Isolde. If you put in pot, you can play one, but the idea is if the first effect gets negated and you have the ability to make a second, because keep in mind you will still have that Goyo Guardian, so if you get another warrior to the board, whether it be through S4 Showdown or anything like that, you then have the ability to make a second Isolde, and then the Isolde will still be able to use its effect to ditch the equips and bring out a Rapper. Then got your IP Masquerena, always followed by her Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn. And then for your boss monsters or your Link 4 monsters, you've got Appaloosa for defense and you've got Access Code for offense. Now keep in mind with Rapper, you have the ability when you've got Isolde, is you have the ability to make the Link 4. Because specifically Isolde becomes a Link 1 when you're using it for Justify, you would ideally be able to get into a 3 negate Appaloosa, or technically 4 negate if you get the full effect off. Or going into game 2, or not game 2, but going second, what you can do is you can use your Justify to go into Access Code. Access Code will, of course, gain 3k, and you'll have at least one, if not two, because you've used the Isolde to banish and pop. Let me just double check. So you're only going to get one because Isolde is, of course, light, but it still gives you that ability to gain 3k, pop a card, and kind of go from there. So it gives you that boss monster on the board that you might otherwise be missing. The extra date is pretty much free, which is why we do play Prosperity. And again, if you don't have Prosperity, you've got Desires, it's absolutely fine. And you can kind of jazz this up a little bit more depending on your specific playstyle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom this out and I'm going to reset the board set and I'm going to show you the 2 combos to kind of get you started in this deck. Okay, so the 2 card combos that you've kind of got. So you've got the standard 2 card combo, which will literally... all it takes very, very easily is your Rapper or a way to get to Rapper, so Reinforcement of the Army, plus Gravito. Now, again, you've got Reinforcement of the Army that can get to your Rapper, but you also have the Bridge that can get you to Gravito or Rapper. So whichever one you don't have, you have other ways of getting to it. Now, obviously, the idea behind this, quite simply, normal summon Rapper. Rapper's effect, you banish Gravito as cost. It doesn't return to hand as cost. Keep that in mind. So if it does get stopped on the field, you will neg. But the idea behind this is Rapper will then return to the hand and then it will special summon out Platina from your deck. You'd put Platina wherever you kind of want it, really doesn't matter. Platina's effect will then go off to bring you out your Gravito. Gravito's effect will then go off to give you an S-Force card. So you can search out Bridge to get you to deck fin and get you an S-Force monster. But 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to go for Showdown, or when we get it in Lightning Overdrive, you'll go for the new trap. You can also go for Specimen. But keep in mind, Specimen is only going to be useful once they clear one of these off. So you've got S-Force, and what S-Force allows you to do is you can quick effect S-Force, bring down Rapper, and then what you do is you put all 3 of these and go into Justify. Or what you do is you hold on to this. If you have another S-Force card in the hand, during your opponent's turn, what you can do is you can S-Force, bring this down. This can then protect these 2, and then you can use her effect to do this. To banish the trap. If there's another Gravito, great, because then you banish Gravito, bring out Platina, Platina brings back the Gravito. Entirely up to you, but that is just one of the options you have. Now, the other combo, which in my opinion is just so much better, I really, really like this, is you need Gravito or Bridge. Just a way to get to Gravito is what makes it the most. And then you want, ideally, the best combo in my opinion is with Righty Driver, but you can do this combo with the Neospatian. But with Neospatian, you kind of need an additional card. But the idea behind this, and we're going to use the Righty drivers, you normal summon Righty. Righty's effect goes off to special summon you Lefty. You then sync these guys together. Now what this does is this allows you, with the Neospatian, you'll get Justify. And you'll get an S-Force spell or trap or card. Whereas with Lefty and Righty driver, it allows you to leave an S-Force on the board, which is really, really important. So we'll go with Gravito in hand. So you're going to sync those together. You're going to go into your 1 Goyo Defender, use Goyo Defender's effect to bring out a second Goyo Defender, use that Goyo Defender's effect to bring out another Goyo Defender, and you're going to go, woohoo! I'm going to link these 2 together because they are warriors, and you're going to go into Isolde. Isolde's effect on summon. Now again, if you play the Gearfried, add the Gearfried. If not, add the Neospatian. You're then going to use Isolde's effect, and she's going to always send the sword. And then you can send either Living Fossil or DDR. Really doesn't matter which one, they're pretty much equal. And then you can add the sword back later on. You just need to get 2 warriors in the graveyard, which of course comes off the back of your space connector and stuff like that. Then off the back of Isolde, you're going to summon out your Rapper, wherever she is. There we go. So you're going to summon out your Rapper. You got quick effect on Rapper, so she's going to banish your Gravito. If Gravito was a level 5 warrior, oh, nice. She is then going to special summon Platina from the deck and come back to your hand. Platina's effect is then going to go off to special summon down Gravito. Gravito's effect is then going to add you a S-Force spell or trap. So we're probably going to go for Showdown more times than not. But we are linking off, so you could bring back the trap as well if you want to. And the idea behind this, what you're going to do is you're going to go Yo Defender, you're going to go Isolde, and entirely up to you whether you want all the opponent's stuff to be banished or Platina. Now, when you're doing this, keep this in mind, that what you want to make sure is whatever card you leave, you want to put it to the furthest left or right. That's me with poor zone placement. But you want these to the left or right, because then what you're going to do is you're going to put Justify on the opposite side, because then what that does is it technically covers, in a way, 4 columns, in a sense. So Platina's just going to reduce attack, but with Gravito, everything's going to get banished. So it doesn't matter, but whatever one you want to go with, you can do. And then you're going to summon out Justify. Now keep in mind, off of the back of this, you're going to have 3 more cards to play around with. Justify can pretty much move a monster to the same column as itself, and then anything your opponent puts in the free zones, if this attacks, is going to banish them. So they want to make sure they don't do that. You've also got a negate off of Justify as well, and you're going to set this. Then if you have any of your other cards, so if you were to play there can only be 1, if you were to play get your imperms, if you were to open up your S-Force or any of your hand traps, you've got more interruptions or more disruptions, and you technically still have these 2 cards in hand. So it means next turn, you can normal summon your Neospatian, go full combo again, or you normal summon out your Rapper and again go full combo. So you've got a lot to play around with. The only issue is Justify doesn't give you any link zones. So you've got to be careful that Justify would then need to leave the board. But even from the back of that, you still unlock the ability to do rank plays if you want to, but you shouldn't need to. You should be able to go pretty much Rapper to get you a Platina to get you something else, switch these all to attack, and then all of these, so Gravito's got 2k, Platina's got 22, everything's going to be losing 600 at least, and then you've got Justify, which is going to clear 3 zones in front of him, so you've got a lot to play around with. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for the S-Force profile. I hope you like this. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas. I hope it's a little bit different to what you've seen online as well. I am thoroughly enjoying this deck. I'm not saying it's going to topple the meta, but you are seriously going to enjoy playing it, and it definitely has some future potential. I think that's one thing that I'm constantly looking for at decks like this, especially when the secrets or the ultras are really cheap. Like the ultras are like £2 each. It's crazy, and the secrets, like I said, were 7 and like 10. So what's really, really good about this deck is it has longevity. It's got new support. It's not broken that any core cards are going to get banned in it. It's not going to be meta-defining, but it's definitely going to be a fun deck for you to play around with, and you're not breaking the bank. And all it takes is for Konami to go, here you go, this deck can now have this broken card, and it goes from being a spiral deck that you've got in your like dust pocket into a meta contender. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like I said at the start, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, subscribe, get this video up to at least 50 likes, and I will bring you a test and video to show you the consistency and the playthroughs of what this deck can do in more depth. For now, as absolutely always, guys, stay safe and happy dueling.